welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and if you are a returning subscriber, what's up? So by the title of this video, you guys already know what it's going to be about, but I'm going to be sharing with you one of the times that I almost got arrested. I have more of these story times coming from times I almost got arrested, but this one I wanted to tell you guys today. So yeah, if you're interested in seeing that, make sure to keep on watching. This particular story time happened about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. No, it was 5 years ago. It was 5 years ago. I was coming to the Netherlands and I was traveling alone. I was coming here for my studies, so I was really afraid because if you know anything about me, you know that I'm afraid of airplanes. I hate flying. It's not my thing, so I just didn't feel that great. Also, the plane ride was horrible, so hated that. I didn't eat anything because the food on the airplane is just nasty to me, so I didn't eat anything. I just drank water the whole time. I kept feeling like I wanted to throw up. I just had like my tummy hurt, my head hurt. It was like a lot, and I get really scared, so I was kind of already paranoid at that point. And also I was scared to come here to the Netherlands because it has been a long time since I had been here. I think I had been here when I was like 2 years old or something, and then I never came back, and now I'm coming back all by myself. So I was already nervous at that point, and I just didn't know like what to expect. And it was winter time. I never experienced winter before, so it was like a lot going on in my mind, and I was all by myself, so it was kind of scary. And I was already like a little freaked out. And before I got on the plane, like I spoke with a couple of people, like family, relatives, like friends, and everyone was telling me like you have to be careful when traveling like through the airport at the Netherlands, because the people that work there can be kind of racist, and like if you look like you're a black person, or if you're coming from Curacao or whatever, they can kind of do a little difficult with you and like go through your stuff and like interrogate you and do all of that. So I kind of had that in the back of my mind, and the advice that they gave me was basically to like keep cool and like play it cool all the time. Like even if you don't feel the best, don't be walking around looking nervous and stuff, because then it's gonna raise suspicion. So just like play it cool, and that's the best way to like get it over with as quickly as possible. So that is what I had in the back of my mind, like okay, I need to play it cool. I like, you know what I'm saying, like I don't want to be doing anything weird that can raise suspicion, even though I'm nervous and I'm barely like alive. I was shaking, but I was like, you know what, like I can do this, like it's gonna be okay. So like I said, the plane ride was horrible. When I got out of the plane, we had to go through customs and everything, and there was this Dutch couple that was on the plane. They were sitting next to me, and they kept talking to me during the plane ride. They kept talking to me and kind of like making me a little less nervous, which I appreciated so much. They were like an older couple, and I didn't know them, so I met them on the airplane, and they just started talking to me, and I spoke back, you know, and they kind of like made me feel a little bit more at ease, so that was nice. So when we got out of the airplane, I kept walking beside them so I can know like kind of where to go, and that is how we did it. So we was walking, and then they were standing in this line, and I was standing, you know, after them so we can go together. And like someone that worked at the airport was like, no, you come here. So they put me in another line, and the couple was like, don't worry, like when you're done, we're gonna wait for you like at the end of the line so we can keep going together. So I was like, okay, perfect, like it's no big deal, I'm just standing in a different line, it's not a problem. So I was doing that. I was standing in the line. I was super nervous. The airport was so crowded, like so crowded. The lines were super long, so I was like, oh my god, like my belly hurt so bad. I just wanted to like lay down. I felt horrible. So as I was doing that, I saw this dog like really far from me, and I was like, oh, that's a cute dog. But then I didn't see him anymore, so I was like, okay, you know, yeah, what can I do about it? And I forgot about it. Then I got out of the line and I saw the couple like standing like 10 meters far from me. So I was like, oh, like I was walking towards them. As I was walking towards them, I see this dog again, and I'm like, oh, so cute. If you know me, you know how much I love dogs. So I was like, oh, and I wanted to pet the dog. So I decided to like bend down, put my luggage at the side, like my carry-on, and try to pet the dog. That's when everything went left. I wish I hadn't done that. So like I said, I had like bent down and tried to touch the dog, like try to pet the dog on his head. And immediately the police started screaming, what are you doing? They started screaming in Dutch, and I'm like, oh my god, what is going on? Because I'm already nervous. I cried on the plane so much because that's what I do, cry on the plane. So I already cried, my eyes look red, I look horrible because I'm so nervous, I feel horrible, and now they're screaming at me. So I'm like, what is going on? So I'm like, oh my god, why are these people yelling at me? The police started screaming, get to the side! And I'm like, okay. So I walked to the side because I really didn't know what was going on, right? So I walked to like the wall. They put me like, go to the wall. So I stand there and I'm like, what is going on? Like, where did they even come from? And why are they yelling? Like, what did I do? Like, I wasn't getting it. I was so confused. So then the dog started barking like crazy, like, and the police were like holding it. And I'm like, oh my god, like what is going on? This is crazy. So then I noticed it was a police dog. I tried to pet a police dog. I really didn't know that the dog was a police dog. I really didn't know. I was so nervous. I just saw a dog. I wanted to pet him. That was all. I didn't like really take a look and try to see everything. I was walking. I saw the dog. I went in for the pets. Didn't do anything else, didn't think about it. It was just an impulse. I see a dog, I pet his head. That's just how it goes. So I'm like, oh my god, like this is really happening. And the most embarrassing part at that point was that everyone kept looking at me. Like I said, I was coming from Curacao to the Netherlands, so there were a lot of like Curacao people on the airplane with me, and then they were all standing in the line, so everyone kept looking at me. I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my god, this is not happening. I kept my head down because I was so embarrassed. I wanted to cry. It was so embarrassing. They kept screaming at me like, what are you doing? Why did you touch the dog? And I'm like, because the dog is cute. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, that's the reason why. So I was so afraid because I didn't know what was gonna happen, and they kept yelling, but they didn't give me any instructions on like what to do. Like, they didn't say like, okay, but you can go. Like, I needed to stay there. So I was so confused, and in my mind I'm thinking like, oh my god, and like I hope everything goes well because my cousins are waiting for me outside, and I don't have like any internet connection or anything so I can tell them like what is going on. So they must be seeing everyone walk out and not me, and they must be thinking like, what is going on? So it was a whole mess. People kept looking at me. I didn't want to look around because I didn't want to see like any familiar faces or anything. So I was like keeping my head down, you know, trying to play it cool, but I was like on the verge of tears. Then they was like, yeah, come with us. So 2 policemen came. There were already 2 standing next to me, and then 2 policemen came, and the 4 of them told me to walk with them. So I already was kind of getting irritated by that point because I'm like, why do y'all need so many people? Like, I'm one small girl. Like, why do you need so many men to like walk me back there? Like, what is going on? So I was already pissed. So I'm like, okay, let's do this, you know. I was thinking in my head the advice that the people in Curacao gave me, like, play it cool, play it cool, play it cool. So I was trying to play it cool, you know. I was trying to play it cool. I'm like, yeah, like, I'm not nervous anymore. Like, I need to play it cool. So we went back there. They took me to like a room or something. And then they was like, put your stuff there. So I had put my stuff on the floor, and then they were like yeah, like they started asking me all these questions, like which flight I was on. So I told them my flight number. Then they were asking like, well, where did you come from, what did you come to the Netherlands for? I told them I came to study. Yeah, but why? And they started me asking me like my address in the Netherlands and where I was going to be staying and all these questions. And they was just asking like a bunch of stuff. After that, they started asking me like about the dog, like why did I go in to pet the dog. But keep in mind, at this point they're kind of really mad at me, so they are speaking aggressively towards me, and I'm super scared but kind of irritated because they keep like raising their voice and it's getting on my nerves. So I'm like just, you know, answering whatever it is that they ask, but like really short, like what they came here for, to study. Like, you know, I wasn't like trying to do anything extra because I was already irritated with them. So anyway, so I did that. They kept asking questions, blah blah blah. Then two of them like went outside of the room to talk about I don't know what. So they went outside and the other two stayed inside with me, and they kept looking at me like, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was so pissed. Like, what are you looking at? Like, so I was already irritated with that. And then one of them started asking like dumb questions. So I had glasses, well, I still wear glasses, but I had them on, and they was like, what are those glasses for, like your vision? And I'm like, yeah, like what else could they be for? Like sunglasses, and they're white. Like, so I was so irritated. Then the two other policemen came back in, and they were like, yeah, well, thank you for answering, whatever, but we still need to do one more step. And I'm like, okay, what is it? And they were like, yeah, we need to check your luggage, your carry-on, the one that I had with me. So they were like, put it on this table and we can take the stuff out. So I'm like, okay, because at that point I got more irritated because they had like a smirk on their face. I think like they were thinking that they were gonna catch me with something, maybe something illegal or something, but they had like this look on their face like, you know, like they caught me or something. And I know I didn't do anything wrong except for petting the dog. So I know like even if you open the luggage or not, you're not gonna find anything. So you can do it if you want. If that's what you want to do, go ahead. So I was like, okay. So I put my luggage on the table. They opened it up and they started taking the stuff out, but they kept looking at me like, and I'm like what? Like that was so annoying. Anyway, so they kept taking the stuff out and asking stupid questions. Like for example, they take this out and they ask me, what is this? And I'm like, body lotion, like it's written on here. So they kept asking stupid stuff, which irritated me more and more and more. So at that point I wasn't scared anymore. I was kind of getting defensive because I was like, you know I shouldn't have pet the dog. That could have raised suspicion and all that, but you interrogated me, you asked me all these questions. Now you're going through my shit. You see that I don't have anything, so why are we making a big deal out of this? Like, what is going on? So I was already mad and pissed, and I just wanted to be gone because in the first place I wasn't already feeling well, so I was already over it at that point. So they kept doing all the extra shit and I kept getting more and more irritated. So I just like, you know, stood back and just let them do whatever it is that they wanted to do because I was over it. At that point, they took all the stuff out of my luggage and they didn't find anything, of course, because I didn't have anything to find. So they took everything out and they went outside, the four of them, like to talk, like right beside the door. They was talking, and then I don't know what the conclusion is that they came to, but I imagine it is that I don't have anything. So then one of them, like they came back and one of them said to me like, okay, like you can go, like we just needed to check everything because what you did wasn't right and what a blah 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 blah. So I was like, okay, perfect, like I can go. And he was kind of nice, like he was okay, but the other ones started to get like a little feisty. So they were like yeah, don't ever do that again. What? Like I wasn't planning to do it again, but why you gotta say with an attitude? Like So he was like, yeah, don't ever do that again. And I'm like, okay. And then I was like, yeah, like what were you trying to do? So I got so pissed because I'm like, this is already over. Why do you keep like kind of instigating me and like pushing me? And like, I don't know, like what are you trying to get out of me? I felt like they were trying to get a reaction out of me. Like I felt at that point, I felt like they didn't find anything wrong with my luggage or with me or with my answers to their questions. So they didn't have any reason to like detain me or anything. But I felt like they were pushing me to kind of have a reason to do something. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like they were pushing me to see like how I would react. And at that point I was already pissed. So I was like, so at that point I stopped answering answering back, like when they kept saying like don't ever do it again, blah blah blah. I just stopped answering because I'm like, you're stupid and you're really making a fool out of yourself, because if you think you're scaring me with that blah 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 blah, you're not. So what is going on? So I just kept ignoring him. And the other one was like saying like, yeah, like do you have someone that's gonna pick you up? I said yes, my cousins are outside, so now I'm just going to grab my stuff and leave. So he was like, oh okay, well enjoy your stay in the Netherlands, blah blah blah, because I had told him that I only came for 6 months. So he was like, yeah, enjoy your stay. And in the meantime the other one is still like talking all that crap. So then he said like, okay, like you can take your stuff and go, but keep in mind my luggage was wide open and my clothes and my stuff was like all over because they was looking for stuff. So everything was like all over, and I felt really really sick, and that whole thing made me feel more sick. So I already had like headaches and my tummy hurt and I felt horrible, and that whole thing made me feel 10 times worse. So I just wanted to die in that moment. So I had so much pain, and now they want me to put like this whole luggage back together. So I wasn't having it. I was like, what do you mean like put it back? So he was like, yeah, you can just put your stuff back and leave. And I'm like, no. No, what do you mean? Like you took all of the stuff out, why should I put it back in? And the one that has talked, the policeman that was talking all the crap, he started like raising his eyebrows and he was like, I was so mad because what are you trying to do? So he was like, you said you wanted to leave, blah blah blah. I said, yes, you're right, I totally said that, but I want to leave with my stuff how I came with it, and I feel horrible. I had a horrible flight, I didn't eat for 9 hours, I wanted to throw up the whole trip. And now I came here, I have to stand in these long lines. I try to do one thing, I make one small mistake, and now you're interrogating me, asking me all this stuff, and now that you didn't find anything wrong, I should put all this back in? I don't think that's fair. So I feel like you should put it back in. And they kept looking at each other like what should we do? Like, should we answer? Should we put the stuff back in? Should we like, what should we do? So at the end of that, they were like, yeah, okay. So they just like threw my stuff back in the luggage. Of course they didn't fold the stuff, so they just like put it, which I didn't care, because if I had to do it, I wasn't gonna fold anything either. I would just push everything in there so I can get out. So they just pushed like everything in the luggage and like zipped it up, and they were like, yeah, you're good to go. And I'm like, okay, thanks. And then I changed my whole demeanor to being the nice girl again. So I was like, hey, thanks, like that's so sweet, thank you for putting the stuff back in, that is so professional of you, thanks. And they were like, and I kept my smile because I was like happy, like genuinely happy that they did that, because I really didn't have the energy to do all that. And I was happy that I could finally leave, because I kept thinking like, oh my god, like imagine if they find something. Like I knew I didn't have anything in my luggage, but I kept thinking like, oh my god, imagine if I do have something. Like I was so freaked out when they were going through the luggage. I experienced that when I'm like at the store too. Like for example, I'm shopping in a store and the alarm goes off like at the door, and I'm like, I get so embarrassed. Even though I didn't steal anything, I get so embarrassed. So at that point, it was kind of the same feeling, because I knew I didn't have anything wrong in my luggage, but I was still nervous. So that whole thing was like a lot. So I was happy that they like put the stuff back in so I could leave. So they did that, I grabbed my shit and I wanted to walk out, right? Because I grabbed my luggage, I grabbed my bag, grabbed my stuff, I was ready to walk out. So when I started walking out the door, I didn't really remember where we came from exactly. So I was like asking the nice policeman. I was asking them like, hey, like where do I need to go? Because I want to go grab my luggage and leave. Like, where do I need to go? And he was like, oh, you need to go there, there, there. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I started walking to like leave. And as I'm walking, I look back and see that they're following me, and I'm like, hell no, hell no. So I'm like, what is going on? So I keep looking back and I see the 4 of them walking behind me, and I'm like, I was so embarrassed because again, I walked to the baggage claim, I grabbed my luggage, and of course the people that were with me on the plane were there waiting for their luggage as well. So I noticed like the stairs, like people talking and like whispering like, oh, like there's the girl that like. So I was like, oh my god, no. And the police kept walking behind me like I was a freaking criminal. Like I felt like I was Pablo Escobar. They kept walking behind me. I'm like, sir, leave me alone, this is so embarrassing. They kept walking behind me. So I was like, yeah. So now I had to stand there, wait for my luggage, and then I could leave. I was so happy when I got my luggage and I could finally leave. And I took one last look at them so I could remember their faces. I don't remember their faces, but in my mind I was like, yeah, I want to remember your face. I don't remember shit, but anyways. So I took a look, I saw them, they kept looking at me until the doors closed. They were like, so I just left, and I was so happy and relieved because I met the couple back like at the baggage claim. So we spoke a little bit, so I was a little bit calmer, and I told them what had happened and everything, and then we walked out together and it was great, and I could finally go home. So yeah, it was a whole thing. I was so nervous, and when I spoke to the couple and like I told them like what had happened, they told me like, yeah, well, they could have detained you because even though they didn't find anything, they could have still detained you for 3 days or something. And I'm like, oh my god, like that would have been horrible. So they were like, yeah, like next time don't pet police dogs. And I'm like, I will never pet a dog in my life. But yeah, so that was horrible, and it could have gone really bad. So I'm happy it didn't. But now when I go through airports, I just try to take sleeping pills, which don't work for me. So I still stay awake the whole 9 hours. But I try to take sleeping pills because although I don't go to sleep, I stay a little bit calmer and I can just chill a little bit and, you know, try to keep my mind off of thinking about the airplane in the air and all of that. So it makes me a little bit calmer. So yeah, but yeah guys, so that was the whole story time about how I almost got arrested, and I'm so happy that you guys watched it. If you enjoyed this story time, make sure to give me a big thumbs up. It helps me out a lot. Also make sure that you subscribe to my channel for more videos every single week, and turn on the bell notifications so you will not miss a new upload from me. You can also follow me on my social media platform, my Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok. I will leave them on the screen so you can find me and connect with me. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!